Hello Casiopians and welcome to Digital Casio. I hope you're keeping well. Today I have blue hands. Actually they're gloves, and there's a good reason why I'm wearing gloves. That's because I am looking at the IA-1000, a flip-top watch that came out in 1992. There's very little information online about the IA series. All I can say is that they were targeted for the business professional. They were a series of analog digital watches that had elegance as well as function. So they consist of 6 watches that I'm aware of, and they are the IA-1000, which we have here, the 1100, the 1110, 1120, the 2000 and the 2010. So as far as I'm aware, the IA-1000 had 2 variations. The IA-1000, which had a stainless steel band and was two-tone gold and silver, and this one, the IA-1000L, which was all gold with a leather band. So with this being a flip-top watch, it is a watch of 2 halves. So the first half that we're looking at right now is the analog part, and it is a beautiful gold design with a gold hands and a second hand and a gold crown. And the case is fully stainless steel and is painted gold. So at the top of the watch we have the hinge and 2 little pegs that prevent the watch from being opened too far. So looking at the right hand profile, you can clearly see the crown, but you can also clearly see the 2 halves of the watch, the top being much thicker than the bottom. You can see it again on the left hand side. You can also see the holes that have spring bar pins that connect the bracelet and the hinge. And the gold continues all the way around to the back, with the exception of the back, which is stainless steel silver. And here we can see that it was made in Japan and that it has the serial number, and it is a friction seal. So it is fitted with this dark brown leather band that has a crocodile effect on the outer side. It has a gold buckle and these 2 retaining loops. So let's take a look at the second part of the watch. So when we open up we can see, an LCD display on the top part and a keypad on the bottom. The display is blank until you press a button. That's an auto off function. So the digital display is actually attached to the underside of the movement of the analog part, and this keypad is very thin and is sitting just on top of the battery. So let's close this up and set the analog watch. Now if you're familiar with analog watches, particularly from Casio, we just have to release the crown just by pulling on it gently, and the second hand stops, and then we can freely move the hour and minute hands. So we'll set this to 3:30. Then to restart the time we just push the crown back in. So that's the simple part done, so let's open it up and do the difficult part. So the digital keypad is very brittle because it's so thin, and I tried it without gloves before and I could see an imprint of my thumbnail, so that's why I'm wearing the gloves. It's pretty awkward to use when you're not wearing it on the wrist, so you have to bear with me here. So I'm pressing the mode button to return back to the time, and this button is located next to the number 6. So with the time present we press the adjust button and we can press 0 to 0 out the seconds. Then to advance to the hours we press the right arrow, and we'll see that the 1 is flashing and also the A, so we'll change this to PM. So we want 332, so we have to type in 0332, and it does advance along to the next number, which is kind of convenient because it's already awkward as it is. So then it moves on to the year, and it starts off in 1990, and this has an auto calendar all the way up to the year 2089. So we'll set this to the year 2020 and June 15th. So we have to press 0615. So now that the time is all set, we can just press the adjust button, and that will set that into place. And when we do so, it says sort, and the time is now set. Does it match? Not quite, but it's close enough. So we'll go to the first function, which is the telememo. And we do this by pressing this awkwardly placed mode button next to the number 6. There it is. Okay, there's no records in there right now, so we'll press the adjust button to set a record. So to input text on this, we have letters above the numbers on the keypad, just like the old phones used to be. So to put in a C, we have to press this number 7 3 times. Oh, I must have pressed the 4. Let's try that again. Press the number 7 3 times and we get the C. Then we have to press the right hand arrow to move it along. I am really struggling with this. Come on, move. Here we go. Now we'll put in the A, and so on and so on. So this top part can have a combination of letters and numbers and can be up to 8 characters in length. So we'll move the right arrow over to the number part. And here we can just type in the number and we don't have to press the arrow anymore. Unless of course you want a space or a dash. So once you've completed your entry, we press the adjust button and that will store it in memory. The word sort comes up. That's because in multiple entries it will actually sort them in alphabetical order. And you can press the page up and page down arrows to change the records. So press the mode and we go on to the schedule memo. To input a new record, we press the adjust button and the date starts flashing. Now you notice that there's no year. So with that, you can only put in for 1 year in advance. So we can only go up to the 14th of next year. We're going to keep it on the 15th, so we just press the right hand advance button and we'll change this to PM and we'll try and get this going for you. So with it set to 3:45, now we can put in a text message up the top. Again, it can be alphanumeric characters and it can be up to 12 characters in length. So when you've completed your entry, just press the adjust button. Alright, let's try that again. Change that to 0. Okay, press the adjust button. Alright, so it's now stored in memory. Okay, so I had to come back to it and change this to 3:42 so that we can listen to the alarm on this. Okay, so with that set, we'll head back to timekeeping mode and wait for the alarm. So the schedule memo has a 20-second 3-beep alarm, and the more observant may have noticed that there was no text scrolling on there to tell you what the alarm was. That's disappointing. So we move on to the next one, which is the memo. So with the memo mode, you get 6 pages of 15 characters. So we're on page 1, so I'll just put in a little message for our memo. And press the adjust button to store that into memory. If your message is more than 6 characters long, then it scrolls. Using the page up and page down keys, we can go through our memos. So the next function is the calculator. It says cal for a second and then a 0. And for some reason it only uses the dot matrix part at the top. So we can just put in any sums using the keypad. And the equals key is that little key with the equals underneath it. Right there above the plus and underneath the page down. Come on, you can see it. Come on, where is it? You seeing it? There it is. Yay! Now it has to be said that these keys are really tiny. There you can see it a lot easier on the screen than you can with the naked eye. So we move on to the alarm function, and we can do an alarm test by holding the key. So we can go through and you'll see that there are 5 alarms and an hourly signal. So to toggle the alarms on and off, we press this bottom left key or the left arrow key, the divided by key, whatever you want to call it, and that toggles it on and off. So it's off and on. Okay, so we'll go back to alarm number 1 and we'll press the adjust key and we'll set a daily alarm. So we'll set this to PM. Then we'll type in the time that we want it to go off. So 03:48. I think should get it. Press the adjust. Double check. Yep, nearly there. And we get this cool little symbol in the top right corner. So let's put it back to mode and wait for the alarm. So we get a 20-second 2-beep alarm for that. So that completes the functions of the IA-1000. So for me this was particularly strenuous trying to record this while holding the lid up and trying to type into the keyboard. You may notice that there is a split here. This is quite common. Thankfully the ribbon is still intact, so that's why I can still type. But you'll find a lot of these watches are malfunctioning because that has split completely. So let's take a look at this on the wrist. So I have a 7-inch wrist and this watch looks not too bad actually. It looks smaller than it really is. So it fits quite nicely. It does sit quite high. But I dare say if you have bigger wrists it would look kind of odd. The leather band on this really suits this watch well, and it really is quite beautiful. But when you open it up, it's a different animal. The bottom part is so thin, it's very worrying, and this top part is top heavy and doesn't even stay open. So you have to hold it while trying to use the keypad. Oh well, but when it's closed, I like it. So it's a fairly light watch, coming in at just 42 grams. So how does the IA-1000 score? Well, for functionality it gets a 7, practicality a 1, a quality of 5, rarity of 6, collectability of 9. This gives an overall score of 5.6 out of 10. There aren't too many flip-top watches from Casio, but the IA-1000 is regarded as the most desirable, with its elegant analog dial hiding what would have been considered a technological marvel in the early 90s. There is of course the FTP-30, which is similar in design, but the IA-1000 was built to impress. However, 30 years later and the design flaws are more evident than ever. Its top is unstable and slams closed, whereas the bottom part is incredibly thin, which makes me nervous just using the keypad. The battery also fits into that bottom part, making changing the battery a near traumatic experience. The IA-1000 is not actually that rare, but because of the fragility of the keyboard and the connecting ribbon, finding one in working condition is getting harder and harder. The price tag can also vary quite a bit. My advice is to check photos carefully before purchasing one. Do you own an IA-1000? If so, do you have any recommendations on how to preserve the life of the keypad? Or maybe you own an FTP-30 and would like to share your comments on how they compare. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and support this channel by subscribing. Clicking the bell will notify you if you would like to see more retro and vintage Casio digital watches. Thanks for watching, I'll leave you with the specs, and until next time, ta-ra!